The usual suspects are the 3rd Street Saints, and their M.O. is terror. These wanton criminals, perhaps unloved as children, have turned to violence in their quest for respect and a boatload of bling.
Alright, I'm Saint Nemesis, and I'm here to talk about Saints Row. The original, the one that kicked it off, the classic. 2006's Saints Row starts you off in a character creator. While better than most creator systems at the time, it's a little primitive to today's standards. You have no option to be female, hairstyles are somewhat limited, and your voice in the game is determined by the race you choose. Given that he only speaks a handful of times, it isn't really that big of a deal. I just would have liked the option to choose the voice I want. Nevertheless, with maybe the exception of the Tony Hawk or WWE games of its era, Saints Row probably had the best character creator of its time, at least that I'm aware of. Alright, let's move on to plot. You're an unnamed guy in what I can assume is his early 20s, walking down a stereotypical ghetto street. There's a Fugazi watch seller, dirty hookers, and of course, gang members. You unintentionally find yourself in the middle of a turf war, almost getting yourself killed in the process.
Wrong time, wrong place, dawg.
Fortunately for you, you're saved by the leader of the 3rd Street Saints, Julius, voiced by Keith David.
The row ain't safe no more, son. We got gangs fighting over shit that ain't theirs. And you in the way, they don't care if you represent or not.
You're immediately recruited and taught the ways of the street. Volition's intention for Saints Row was to make the experience as close and as genuine to being in a real street gang. Now, obviously, I've never been in a gang, but it can be a tad off-putting at times.
Great. Now we got your crack-ass friends tripping. Like I said, fucking with City Hall is a waste of time.
Wrong. Working with them is what gives us power.
Yo, fuck that. This is what gives us power.
Now get the fuck out of my office.
But there's other times where it's pretty damn convincing.
Fuck!
You forgot who you talking to. My name is Benjamin motherfucking King. I'm the man who took my crew from being a bunch of baby gangsters in Sunnyvale to being one of the most influential and feared forces in the goddamn city. You know how I did that? I said, you know how I did that?
Mr. King?
I did it by knowing when it was time to build, when it was time to watch, and when it was time to act.
Apart from the mild cheesiness, the story is damn good. I'd say it's almost on par with GTA San Andreas. This is partly thanks to the star-studded voice acting cast. As mentioned, Keith David does a top-notch job.
We need all the help we can get, son.
Some other well-known names include Michael Rappaport,
What do you need the truck for?
Tia Carrere,
What is this, fucking 3rd grade?
and even Mila Kunis.
Don't you fuck!
Some of my favorite characters are Dex,
Shit, Troy, what's with all the questions? Why can't you be like my man over here?
Donnie,
You scared the shit out of me, Donnie.
I scared the shit out of me.
Tanya, and of course, Johnny Gat.
Put these on.
I'm yellow enough as it is, Dex.
If you're familiar with Grand Theft Auto, the learning curve isn't too high when going from one to the other. Saints Row is a third-person open-world crime game. The controls are different, but a lot of the gameplay elements of Saints Row are borrowed from its more popular competitor. In fact, when Saints Row was released, that's all anybody ever said about it. They were too busy comparing the game to GTA to give it any kind of proper judgment. And I think that's pretty sad, because beneath the surface of Saints Row, there lies a very original, creative, and downright fun experience. The campaign will put you in varied situations, from typical car chases to helping an R&B singer fake her own death to get out of a record deal. The perfect balance between serious and silly. The Saints have 3 rival gangs, the Rollers, Carnalis, and Vice Kings, each with their own string of missions that you can play in whatever order you please. While most missions are fun, there's a few that were annoyingly difficult, such as the final Carnalis mission and the first half of the final Vice Kings mission. Another small complaint I have is with the controls. While in a car, the A button accelerates and the B button backs up. This was fine for the time, but nowadays I'm much more used to using the triggers to navigate my vehicle. The evolution of driving control after the release of this game isn't Volition's fault, I just thought I should mention it. My biggest complaint is your respect meter. Your respect meter is basically a feature that forces you to do a certain amount of side activities before you can progress in the story. Let's say if your respect meter is at 1 on the multiplier, that means you can only do 1 more story mission before having to fill up your respect meter again. It's not that I have anything against these side activities, most of them are pretty fun. I was just really invested in this story, and having to break up the action with drug dealing and insurance fraud got pretty annoying at times. I recommend doing a lot of side activities right at the beginning of the campaign, so you don't have to break up the action like that. My favorite moments in Saints Row are when your character speaks. It's rare, but always funny.
I'm gonna skull fuck that bitch.
Hope you don't mind hepatitis. What?
The map in Saints Row is nothing short of astounding. The varied nature of the city of Stillwater, with each district representing a different type of area, makes the map feel a lot bigger than it actually is. I'd say graphics-wise, it's on par with the early Xbox 360 games, maybe a little better. It actually adds a charm that I never felt with any of the later installments. Something about this game is so wholesome. I think most crime games are meant to intimidate you, but this one felt very welcoming, if that makes any kind of sense. I should probably mention the ending, since it's so iconic to the series. A higher-up member of your gang, Troy, is revealed to be an undercover cop. Being the only gang left in Stillwater, the Saints are forced to raise the white flag and step down. Julius, however, feels that your character will disagree with the decision, forcing him to set up your death in a planned boat explosion. As far as anyone knew at the time, your character dies an untimely death at the hands of the man who brought you to power. I don't like giving games conventional ratings because I feel like it overpowers everything else I say, but for the sake of comparison, I think I'll do it. Saints Row is getting an 8 out of 10 from me. It's always been an underrated gem.
Just say the word.